It's just about the end of the week, and the tech nonsense is one of my favorite things of the Level 1 news because people misapplying technology, it's like, I don't know, it's those cat videos where like the cat doesn't understand something and is just completely confused by it. That's like the Luddites. So that's what we talk about sometimes.
But boy, was this a tough week though, wasn't it? Man, I barely got through it.
Yeah, I mean, still some negativity for the new format, but our Patreon has increased a lot, so thank you. That's really amazing. We need a name, so we're probably going to have 3 episodes a week, and for the bean counters, yes, that is more content per week in total in aggregate, funded by our patrons. Thanks. But we need a name, and I don't know. We need a name for all 3 shows.
The problem is this is going to be a newsflash for some of you. We don't control the news. We've tried, but
it didn't work.
Yeah, we don't have the funds.
We've sacrificed too many interns at this point, and we're running into the red.
So we don't know what the majority topic is going to be for the given week, or even for the given episode. So it's I don't know. We're still trying, but
ooh, he's trying. Oh, Rick and Morty's the hip in thing, right? So everybody has to reference it.
Yeah, nobody quotes that.
It can be our little secret. I like some variation of something to do with WTF, like even something simple like Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, but it's still an in-joke because not really good for the algorithm or shareability.
That's a little cliche.
Yeah, let's not do that. Let's not go to Camelot. That's a silly place.
And by a little, I mean the most cliche thing that we could do.
Yeah, I know. But it can live on in the hearts and minds of the viewers of this episode, which will turn into obscurity many years from now.
No.
People are still watching.
Anthropologists are going to be looking back at this as like,
this is where it all went wrong.
If only they'd listened.
The SEC has been subpoenaing companies and advisors over ICOs. So the Securities and Exchange Commission, these people have something to do with the financial situation, the financial industry in America, if you will, including financial advisors and people that advise wealthy people with their money. And they want to know, hey, did you advise people to buy Bitcoin? And also, if you sell or do anything with Bitcoin, we need your stuff.
Yeah, this is not the same story, but
it's ours.
The Coinbase people reported, it's like, yeah, we just reported like 40,000 of you or something. Also, go back to the top. I love the name of this author, Kia Kokalita.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a cool name.
I wonder if Kia is short for something else.
Is it real?
Well, I kind of want you to click on it now.
Does she exist?
Son?
Oh.
I don't know.
I guess, new tab.
I guess that...
Yeah.
Wonder, it's not short for anything?
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Well, no, I was just, sometimes people, like researchers, especially security researchers and things like that, will adopt vaguely plausible sounding pseudonyms that are actually not a name.
Well, if it is, it's still cool that she came up with that name. So kudos, Kia Kokalita.
Nice. It was actually, wait, what happened?
You've reloaded the page. That's another one of her stories. It's too late. Let's just move on.
You can tell it's the end of the week because we're all exhausted, right?
Just wearing the same clothes again.
It's been a long week.
Yeah, we've not gone home.
Don't worry, my clothes have at least a week's worth of soiling on them at any given time. JP Morgan sees crypto as competition and risk to its business in SEC annual report. So anymore, there's so much fake news. You have to read the reports to shareholders and you have to read these kinds of reports to the SEC because it's literally the only thing where truth still exists.
Yeah, we talked about how we're going to call back to the previous episodes. We can't help ourselves. In the Google story, it's like, no, you have to tell your shareholders the truth or they will sue you, especially these financial companies.
They can't handle the truth.
Well, they gave it to them. And despite Jamie Dimon talking down Bitcoin and it's like, oh, crypto, it's all going to go to zero. In the SEC filing, they're like, no, it's real. And we might lose money because of it.
I like the illustration.
I mean, that's something.
Yeah.
Except Bitcoins aren't physical.
I know. I feel like the illustrator really struggled with that. It's like, you want me to draw what?
They always have that.
That is a hard thing to draw when it's like not a physical object.
But they always have those stock images of when they did those actual physical Bitcoins. And they always use that for the stories. And I think that spreads the disinformation.
But it is actually.
But the art department, what's their answer to that going to be?
There isn't really a good answer to that.
I've got their answer, and that is Steve Wozniak just had 70,000 in Bitcoin stolen after falling for a simple yet perfect scam, and there's nothing you can do because it's Bitcoin. Booga booga booga.
Is that the face he made after he found out?
This is embarrassing for the Woz, because this wasn't like, when they say simple but effective, they do mean
very simple,
extremely simple.
Did you just call him the Woz?
Yeah, that's what he's called.
You never heard of the Woz?
I've never heard that before.
Really?
He literally is the Woz.
The Woz is.
Is that a self-named nickname?
No, he's. It's kind of like Gaben.
Oh, okay.
He's beloved because. As horrible.
I know about Steve Wozniak. I've never heard the Woz.
Well, now you know about the Woz. But the problem is, we might have to take that nickname back because this is sad what happened to him. But here's my question. So, well, first of all, we should say he sold somebody Bitcoin and they paid him with a credit card. It was stolen and they charged it back, and there's nothing he can do about it. But now here's the question: do you think the Woz was trying to dodge the IRS by selling to a private seller with a... Why would you do that?
Only the Woz can say for sure.
Yeah. He's got money, right?
Oops. Yeah. This is not going to affect him all that much because, yes.
Well, it's going to embarrass him.
Yeah, it is going to embarrass him because he's the Woz.
More than the nickname already does.
No, he likes the name.
Yeah, I'm sure he embraces that completely.
Yeah.
So, pro tip. As much as it sucks to have to sell your crypto through some sort of exchange, and as insecure as many of those are, just selling it on the street to somebody for a credit card payment, bad idea.
It's also worth pointing out, MarketWatch is a relatively mainstream publication for these kinds of things. And so we, being the nerds that we are, have an interesting lens into their world because even just the vernacular that they use reveals a lot about the writer and the expectations in that world. It's it's something very fascinating, something you can be introspective about. Kind of related to that, Bill Gates had an AMA on Reddit where he mentioned that cryptocurrency is almost directly responsible for death and that cryptocurrency is super risky over the long term.
I don't think he qualified it. I don't think he put the almost in there.
It was, there was a slight qualification there because he wasn't like it's... But it was very slight. So
now you're like, well, how is cryptocurrency killing people? Is it because they're shutting off the heaters in the Ukraine to mine crypto?
It's the anonymity.
He's saying that because you can anonymously buy fentanyl with cryptocurrency, then it's responsible for the people's death. He's blaming the gun, as many people are doing these days. But I got news for Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Maybe he's too separated to know this. People are using U.S. dollars to buy fentanyl.
Yeah,
a lot.
I was going to say, really, as someone who lives in an area full of drug addicts, I don't think a lot of them are using crypto. They're using money or other alternative currencies to pay for their drugs.
What about Tide detergent? That is a black market currency.
And we've got a bunch right here.
Yeah.
Can we deter, gents?
Didn't work any better on Wednesday.
Yeah.
No.
Not working good on Friday.
It's almost as bad as Bill Gates' argument. This makes notes. I wonder, I have this theory. I'm sure other people have it as well, but it seems like the richer you get, the more faith you put into the government, because it's like, oh, there's nothing standing between me and the pitchforks except for you. I must support you because I know people are coming for me if it goes down.
I think in the Reddit AMA, I was trying to find it before the news, but I think he did respond to the argument, well, what about cash? And his response was, well, cash still requires the physical exchange, so there's a chance that you're going to get caught, whereas crypto can be perfectly anonymous if executed absolutely correctly.
But not Bitcoin, because there's the blockchain.
You get wallet mixing and things like that, so I don't think it's perfectly anonymous, but I don't know that it's it's centralized, where unlike cash is completely decentralized, so there are trade-offs in either direction.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Bill's out of touch on this one.
I think that you're probably right.
He also does have several billion of the alternative to worry about. So
not easy to convert that and not easy to recover it if it's stolen. If Bill Gates had several billion in cryptocurrency and it was stolen, his only option would be to hire like Blackwater and mercenaries and just send them out to recover it physically, which is interesting. Because it's the physical aspect of
hold a gun to people's head, make them write down the wallet.
It's like, you will unlock this. Oh, I hope we've got the the Bitcoin story where the Bitcoin mining stuff was stolen later. I forgot. I didn't see that one. The thing.
Well, if we don't, we can add it with magical editing.
EU finance head. We will regulate Bitcoin if the risks are not tackled. We got this cool ad. Bitcoin is the coming, says the crypto genius. The next
Who
Bitcoin
is that guy? Crypto genius.
He's in like everything. It's like he's the guy.
Is he like the Woz?
Well,
Get over that.
He's not popular in Europe because they're not fans of cryptocurrency, and they're kind of making the same argument that Bill Gates made. Terrorists, drug dealers, and they're saying that if you don't do something about it, they're also not just talking about the illicit uses of it, but also the up and down. They're like, oh, people are losing their money and it's bad and you need to do something about it. I don't know how that's any different than the stock market.
But they can keep an eye on the stock market, and that's what makes it okay.
Is it not anonymous? Because there were some questionable steel transactions this past week that makes me think that there's some kind of a trail there that needs to be audited.
Well, they don't want you to see that trail. But I suspect that that's just sort of them. They're just sort of signaling the fact that it's like, we warned you, but there's nothing that crypto could do that would satisfy them. They want to regulate it.
Speaking of ubiquitous surveillance technology, Palantir has secretly been using New Orleans. NOLA. It's in Louisiana. It's in Louisiana. To test its predictive policing technology. And again, the news here is not the predictive policing technology. It's the fact that anybody that is attempting this thinks this is a good idea, because it's like Minority Report. It's like, we know a crime is going to happen before it happens, so we can go deal with it. And it's like, that's not how that works, guys.
Yeah, but you had magic psychics in Minority Report. Here,
it's magic software.
Well, so this software, if you're wondering,
it is magic to people who don't do anything with software.
How do you find out about pre-crime without the magic clairvoyant women that are submerged in milk? How do you do that? Well, the answer is you use social media and you use AI. So they are using the Facebook accounts and the Twitter and the social media. They're also tracking license plates and phones and locations and things like that. And based on all this stuff, they assign you a score of whether or not you're going to be involved in violent crime. And if you are, they pay a lot of attention to you.
But it never said in this report, like, what the success rate was. They won't they don't release any sort of statistics about whether or not it works.
They are not big on talking about this at all. It's been going on since 2012, and they didn't tell the city council people. The mayor knew, the cops knew,
that's about
and the one guy, I can't remember his name. He's a politician who spearheaded this whole thing, and pretty much nobody else. They didn't tell anybody about it.
If people find out about this, they won't like it.
Yeah. Shockingly enough, people are a little bit alarmed by it.
The company behind this, not ironically named at all, Palantir,
which is the Seeing Stone of Numenor. Only a few exist. Most of them have been destroyed by the Third Age. There's only a couple.
Well, now we've got a license to print them. It's like a license to print money.
I don't know though. Is the Seeing Stone better than the clairvoyant girls submerged in milk?
I would say the Seeing Stone is probably considerably less powerful because there's only 7 of them. And one of them only looks to the sea. One only looks at Denethor's withered hands burning in the flame.
Which one looks to the New Orleans gang activity?
None of them, actually. I've been trying to talk to Aragorn about getting that moved over, but he refuses.
New Orleans has what they call a strong mayor policy, which lets the mayor do a lot of stuff without any kind of oversight. So most cities, this probably wouldn't go, but on top of them being destroyed by cataclysm a few times in the last decade, they were able to just push this through and nobody knew.
I wonder what he'd have to do, if you remember the news from Monday or Tuesday, what he would have to do to get a license to break the law from MI5.
He probably already has it.
Is that what a strong mayor is? He too has a license to break the law? How long has this existed? Why did I not get a memo about this?
It's just a piece of paper that says, I can do what I want.
It has to be signed by his mom. And if she's not living, then he has to conjure her spirit.
With voodoo.
Yeah. Well, it's New Orleans.
Yeah.
My mom said I could kill these drug lords on site without a trial or any kind of evidence or any of that. That just gets in the way.
Now,
Did she sign your agenda book?
the Palantir also said, based on, so we have to assume that this was somewhat successful because based on this data, they have sold this to other countries, not anywhere else in America, but
that we know of.
That
I
we
mean,
know
where
of,
else
yeah.
has a strong mayor situation? Is that code for something? Are we gonna I needed to go do an internet searches for strong mayor to suss this out, or maybe Anonymous can get in there and figure it out.
I bet. Imagine if someone did like a freedom of information, there was a lawsuit, and they had to give up this information. I bet having a high Palantir number would be like something that gang dealers love to talk about. It's like, dude, I'm a 74. You do not want to mess with me.
Is that like the Chinese citizen score, except it's like the criminal version of it?
You gotta let everyone know how cool you are.
It's like your credit score. Like, man, how many people do I have to kill? How many dead hookers have to turn up for me to break into the 80s?
That makes you wonder too. Like people say, oh, I just want to kill this guy. He's driving me crazy. And then people are like, oh, they're driving. They want to kill someone. They're enraged. We need to immediately send an officer to the location.
I'm sure that flags. But you have to be already. I think it's much more complex than that because
we don't know.
But they have to identify you because when gang people almost always go to prison, and so they actually will. You have a jacket that follows you, so they know that you're in a gang.
Can you imagine a version of the O.J. Simpson trial where they're admitting his, Apple Watch exercise data as evidence in the trial and his cell phone location data and all of that stuff? I mean, that would just...
You think a lot of New Orleans gangbangers have Apple Watches?
A lot.
Pro tip, if you're a New Orleans gangbanger, don't have an Apple Watch.
Would you like superhuman memory? This is a really interesting application of artificial intelligence. So AI, the headline is AI just learned how to boost the brain's memory, and you really got to get into the details in this. It's another Wired article. First, I guess we need to talk about people that have epilepsy because they already have electrodes implanted in their brain.
Well, not all of them.
There needs to be a little asterisk on this story that's like citation needed because it was a very small group, like I think 20 or 30 people. They're all epileptics. That's not a neurotypical brain. Like,
well, I don't know if that affected it. The reason they were epileptic is because I'm not going to let you put electrodes in my brain.
Yeah.
Turns out it's hard to get clearance for that.
Yeah. But these people needed it because they have severe epilepsy and they need to be monitored. Yeah.
So, but that's not the point of the research. The research was that they needed the electrodes to monitor the brain to apply an AI algorithm to learning. And so the epilepsy was not anything to do with this study other than it was a convenient source of people that already had electrodes in their brain.
So you've seen them to do like Alzheimer's memory tests. You've seen that on TV. So they did that kind of thing with these people, like recall tests, and they trained their AI to identify. It's like, hey, this person is remembering. This is what the brain looks like.
This person is not paying attention.
Yeah. So, and when the remembering happened, they set the AI up to send a little juice into the brain. Just a touch.
Just a little bit of electricity.
A little bit of electricity helps the medicine.
And it did seem to help, although it was only a 15% increase in the best case.
Yeah.
So
Again,
it's like...
also people with severe epilepsy, like, can you really even use those results?
Otherwise, they're normally functioning people. So, I mean,
but
it's not like they're not mentally deficient.
No, but I mean, like, if you're looking for like healthy brains, I don't know if I'd pick someone with severe epilepsy.
What if? Okay, so now
run my study.
Here's the moral question: I can give you a 50% boost, but you got to take on the epilepsy that goes with it.
I don't know if I need memory that badly.
You could be a hell of a card counter in Vegas.
This is kind of an exciting 0.1 version of this technology, because there could be a future version of this technology. It's funny that you say that you could, random tangent. That actually happened. There was a physicists convention in Vegas, and this is like in the 80s. And the physicists convention in the 80s, they all descended on the casinos in the 80s, and it was the worst week in the casino's history because all the physicists walked out with all their winnings. They knew how to play the games and run the stats, do all that kind of thing. So the physicists are no longer welcome in Vegas.
I bet that's more about discipline than it is memory.
Yeah.
Because anybody can win, but no, very few people will walk away. The other thing about this is who knows what kind of long-term effects blasting your brain with voltages. It could be bad.
Interesting research, maybe, but it's still a long way to go.
It's probably fine.
That's cool though. If everybody had super memory, do you think our collective memory as a nation would extend beyond 2 weeks?
It'd go up to 3.
Would there still be cognitive dissonance, or would people actually remember? It's like, wait, that guy promised not to be an asshole.
Would anybody at Equifax be in jail if we were all shocking our brains?
The Equifax debacle is literally reading all the articles and stuff from that has literally been like watching there's a scene from a Leslie Nielsen movie where like he's a cop and he goes to the docks and there's a guy at the docks that's kind of a shady character, and it's like, I don't know, I've got kind of a fuzzy memory, and then he gives him some cash, and then the shady guy is like, hey, what is this all about? Is this a police investigation, or is that guy wanted for murder or something? And Leslie Nielsen's like, I don't know. And then the shady guy gives him back the cash, and then so it reminds me of that. There's no memory there at all. It's just,
in case they didn't paint the picture well enough for you, I believe that's called Police Squad.
I couldn't remember the name of the movie. It's just,
I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen the movie, but I know the clip.
Anyway, this is the roughest segue yet. Getting kind of loopy. Everybody remember Qbert, the video game? AI's figured out how to get a score of 1 million, and it turns out that it's breaking the game. Like the AI is playing the game hilariously, unintentionally, exploiting a bug that no one knew was there and getting insanely high scores.
Yeah, it turns out this is a mobile port or something like that. It was a convenient way for them to run, because of course with an arcade cabinet, it's not easy to integrate your AI. So they use their AI to play on this mobile version, and it turns out this is probably not present in the arcade cabinet, but some small flaw in this mobile port, the AI was able to figure out. It's like, oh wait, I don't need to play by your rules. I can get an almost unlimited amount of points just by doing this thing that breaks the game.
Is this the part in the program where we draw the parallels between the AI that's looking to exploit Qbert and the Oogle algorithm looking to exploit for views and outrage and driving there might be a parallel there.
The other interesting thing about this story is, of course, you think this is like machine learning or something like that. No, this was an evolutionary AI. So the way this works, we've talked about the AIs that have discriminators. This one actually pits 2 AIs against one another, and then it takes the winner and mutates it, just like evolution. And it hopes that the mutation is good. Most of the time it's bad, just like evolution. But once in a while, it actually improves it. And that's how it got to the point where it could beat Qbert in a strange way.
The mutation is a little bit evolution, a little bit Highlander. Because there can be only one. This app is going to use AR to teach you how to draw. I'm completely unqualified to talk about that. Krista?
I looked at some of the footage for this, and it kind of looks like it's more of a tracing program, which, actually, you know what? I really can't condone that.
But it also talks about machine learning, and I don't quite understand how machine learning is going to teach me how to draw. Does it recognize my failures?
Well, and it's like some things too, like it might claim are a failure, but it might be a stylistic choice. And it seems kind of like a gimmick to me anyway. Learning to trace is not learning to draw. Or even just doing something that's like photorealistic is not necessarily learning to draw.
I have no talent in that department. Like just a shocking lack of talent. But I don't feel like an app could fix me. No, it basically takes practice a lot. And practice drawing lots of different things in lots of different configurations and different lighting conditions. And I feel like an app is not going to be able to give you that kind of experience. See, lots of different things, mostly just anime girls, what I focus on.
Yeah. Well, mostly just Monica.
Yeah,
just Monica.
Well, the question becomes, though, even if you're not interested in using the app, what if there were some, like if this drawing program were part of a larger ecosystem of services or platform that were used, and the platform were concerned that you didn't know how to draw, and so it would be trying to find ways to gently encourage you to learn how to draw by manipulating the type of content that you saw. Like Monica would be really, really happy if you learned how to draw.
I don't think that anybody would ever care about that. Now, to get me to buy something, maybe
art supplies are expensive.
That could
Can
be
confirm.
It could be. It's like, hey, you're kind of garbage at this, but what if you had this pencil?
Or what if you had this tablet? Or you should get some Copic markers or this kind of marker. And it's like, oh man, I should. And then you spend $200 on markers. And
this week we've talked a lot about when AI gets it wrong. I mean, AI can be a tremendous tool, and it's not always going to get it wrong. But AI doesn't have any kind of built-in sanity checks. So, like, a lot of really horrible situations can occur with AI. Like, somebody that is pregnant and they lose the baby, they're still going to get tons of like pregnancy stuff from the thing. There's no way to tell the AI, hey, the baby died. This is not going to be a thing. Yeah,
that's a bad one. One that's kind of also bad is when the Tesla runs into the fire truck. Kind of on that same level.
Yeah. I mean, a human being should have known better, but because human beings were completely removed, it's just not good. And so researchers are starting to point that out as well, and we've covered a few stories where researchers have been able to exploit flaws in the algorithm to get, sort of the desired result. And so this was a follow-up. This is kind of new information, but we've covered this in the past. And this is a story about hacking the brain with adversarial images. So they're looking at, if it works this way for AI, could it also work this way for human beings?
You got to go back because this image really...
The picture really is. It is a little bit weird.
It's a cat becomes a German Shepherd. And I totally see it.
I see it, but I think I would still recognize it as a cat. I would just think it was a low quality image.
So it probably does work on people.
But that is the only image that they produced that I thought had the human effect.
Yeah.
This is mostly we've talked about. Remember the banana stickers?
Yeah.
They showcased the banana stickers. Of course, we would not.
Panda. They can make a panda, a gibbon.
It still looks like a panda to me. That doesn't defeat the. So the idea here is that if you
that confidence though,
if you do this process for one AI, then humans can still tell the difference. But if you do it for all known AIs, you get something like that cat German Shepherd abortion that we just saw up there. And humans might not be able to know. But I don't think it's quite as pronounced as they make it out to be. But they do come up with a good point, which is it's real easy to trick the AI.
Yeah. And being really easy to trick the AI is how we end up with things like a Tesla under a fire truck. Like, what if we discovered that the banana sticker was stuck on the bumper of the Tesla truck? And that was...
Wow. I didn't think about that. Like, just putting banana stickers everywhere.
Bumper stickers with these images on them. We need to get started on that.
Stored on level1text.com.
Want to cause an accident on the freeway?
Yeah, we'd definitely get terror charges for doing that. Yeah. Don't do that.
Don't.
We're not advocating that. That was a joke.
We're always joking. Literally nothing on this is serious.
Pure hyperbole.
Speaking of which, you can watch Waymo's virtual reality view of the world so you can know if your exploits are working. Or you can just experience how Waymo sort of sees the world. If you get a VR headset, you can just put this on and be the robocar.
You can also do the drag and drop.
Oddly fascinating.
That's how I identify.
360 view, which is cool.
Robocar.
You identify as a robocar.
Yeah.
But this is
finally
Waymo doesn't talk much about how they do their stuff, so this is interesting that they all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, look at exactly how our car works,"
or exactly what it sees. I have a feeling this is probably doctored somewhat, or
maybe
put together somehow or something. Cyberdyne's therapeutic cyborg legs have finally arrived in the U.S.
Oh, check that picture out.
So this is Cyberdyne, yeah. Isn't that the Terminator?
Yeah, they took it from
That seems like a mistake. Some bad marketing.
But this is a really cool product. Now, the bad thing about it is if you totally have no feeling in your legs, you can't use this. But if you have just a little bit of feeling left in your legs, this thing will read
those nerve endings?
The EEG that's going into your leg and actually move these legs along with it. And the dual purpose here is not only can you use these legs, but your actual legs are going to be retrained in that process, which is pretty incredible.
Now, I've seen the X-Men, and Charles Xavier in the future did not have these.
Can't be real then.
It was
fake news.
It was an alternate timeline.
I mean, he was scooting around on like that.
Well, he had a hover.
Yeah.
Maybe he chose the hover chair over. I mean, hover chair is cooler than fake legs, right?
He can go to the Grand Canyon in the hover chair.
How do you deal with stairs in the hover chair?
I think you just crank it up. You just or also
blasts out your eardrum.
His ability to manipulate objects with his mind probably helped.
Maybe there was no hover chair.
Yeah, it was just
some plywood.
Just a rusted out. That was a trash can they banged into a rough chair shape and stuffed him into it.
You're good, man.
Jars.
There you go, Chuck. Make your own chair.
Speaking of absurd things, this LineRanger robot has the dangerous job of checking live power lines. Well, it's a robot, so it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
But it's expensive.
It's a drone that can check power lines, but
it rides the lines
yeah.
with those little arms there.
I didn't watch the full video here. How big is that drone? It looks massive in that picture.
Well, it's big enough to span a high tension wire.
I don't know. This doesn't seem like a bad thing. It seems really good.
No, I can't see any drawbacks here. Basically, it can do like 12 miles a day.
Mm-hmm.
Just rolls around on the power lines and makes sure that they're not damaged. And if they are damaged, it makes a GPS coordinate note, takes a picture of the damage, and sends it back to somebody to fix.
The woodpeckers have gotten to the wire again in this area.
And this, for once, is there a job? Is this taking a job? Is it somebody's job to go and just poke at the power lines?
Let us know in the comments.
They repair them, but
is this your job? I bet you have some amazing pictures if this is your job. You should post those.
But really poor insurance.
Really poor.
Well, who's going to be the drone operator, though? Because, I mean...
I don't think it needs it because it's riding the lines.
If it's just running on the... But then if it's really damaged, what if it just like...
Yeah, I think you're
tumbles off.
Well, then you get a text message. It's like, hey, I was just electrocuted.
Come
and
fix
up. The line.
It might be a situation where like one guy could manually do like a mile a day, and now he can do like 15 miles a day because he's got an army of 2 or 3 drones. But I still think it's going to be.
You know what we need to do? Who was the guy that the myth where he went up against the train or the
John Henry,
the robot that laid the track?
I think it was John Henry.
We need that for this thing. We need that guy who's just checking line at a frantic pace.
That ended badly for that guy.
Yeah,
like he injured himself. That's not the lesson we should learn from that.
But how exciting!
What a good TV show!
Oh, he's thrown a disc, but he's
he's playing through the pain. His eyebrows are singed.
Doesn't need him.
Video game companies are apparently unaware of Trump's summit on video game violence. So the White House in the U.S. has doubled down on the whole video game violence causes a lot of the domestic violence problems that we have, apparently.
Domestic violence?
or not.
Maybe both.
Community violence. I don't know what to call
School
it.
violence.
I don't know how many times I've played
violence.
Wife Beater 3 and just thought to myself, she needs an education. Yeah, but this is gun violence.
Gun violence.
I had not heard of this either. I saw this headline. I was like, well, who knows anything about that?
I wasn't invited to this summit.
Well, none of the video game companies have been invited. I don't know who's going to this. I don't know what decisions
people
they're
who
trying
already
to
don't
make.
like video games.
I guess,
Is this a golf outing at Mar-a-Lago?
But this is, of course, in response to the recent shootings, and Trump thinks that video games and movie violence are to blame.
Doesn't he have a teen son? Surely his teen son plays video games.
Well, he's got an adult son.
I thought he has like a teen son too.
Maybe.
Why does he think that?
Because it's his base responds to that kind of thing. Because they're that generation. They're like our parents who are like, that's going to rot your brain.
Watches TV for...
Dude, you even know about esports? You can make a ton of money at this.
Well, loot box,
esports ready.
The first change to the industry from the loot box controversy has happened. The ESRB is introducing an in-game purchases label to the boxes or labels.
I don't think game companies care. I don't think they're ashamed to say that
loot boxes.
I mean, if you're addicted to loot boxes, aren't you going to look for that? It's like, oh, this one's got loot boxes. I better get it. Yeah, this is a ridiculous thing.
Well, do you think your parents, though? Like, if you were a parent and your kid brought you a game and it's like it's got in-game purchases, could you just not do that?
I don't think they look at the mature rating.
Yeah, a lot of them don't.
I don't
Personally,
think they
I
understand.
would just look at a review of the game before I bought it for my kid, but most people probably just say, whatever, kid, you're screaming.
See, your kid's going to be like, Mom, I don't want to play Overwatch. I want to play something else.
Sit down. I'm going to get you in the Overwatch League.
What age? So like Grand Theft Auto 5, what age would your kid have to be for that?
That's a hard one for me. Like, I don't know. Because I guess it depends on the kid and like how mature they are and like how well they could handle it and like understand that that's not real. Like,
Son, you're mature for your age, so I think you're ready to beat hookers to death.
like a young kid might not understand this is not real. You should never do this. But like someone who's older is going to realize that's a joke. Like no one. Well, I mean, people do that, but they're horrible people.
You end up in other messed up situations though, where it's like you can play the game, but you won't play that aspect of the game. It's like I'll play GTA 5, but I'm not going to go in the strip clubs in GTA 5.
But you have to as part of the story.
Who plays the story? I didn't. I actually really like the online version. I'm not interested in the story at all, so I could see like not doing the strip.
Oh, apparently there's a new heist.
Is there?
Yeah.
So if not
Twitch.tv/TeamPGP.
If not GTA, what about the Oregon Trail? $25 Oregon Trail handheld. You can only play the Oregon Trail on this handheld, but it looks fairly sophisticated.
A 6-year-old me would have loved that.
$25, but you can die of dysentery.
This article points out there are emulators, apps, free web versions of the Oregon Trail. There is no
but
reason.
I need a handheld so I can take it with me at all
You've
times.
already got your phone.
Don't bring logic into this.
There's no reason to get this, but if you really must, it does seem like a pretty faithful representation of the old Oregon Trail. And that was a great game.
When I was a kid, we had one computer, and like all of us would gather around, like the whole classroom, to watch someone else play Oregon Trail.
Did you ever make it? I never made it to Oregon.
I never made it, no.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I remember dying in all sorts of obscure situations.
I got real close, and that one hurt the most. Oregon Trail was like the first roguelike, if you think about it.
Yeah, because it was so easy to lose people in your party.
What year was Rogue?
Rogue came.
I guess
before
Rogue
that.
was the first roguelike, but Oregon Trail, it was good.
It's a classic.
I remember one year I was like, I'm sure that I'll have enough axles because I bought more than I needed, and I didn't have enough axles.
Well, you see, but it would kill you. The thing about that game, it would punish you because it's like, okay, now you've got enough axles. Now your oxen are going to die. What are you going to do now?
You're running out of salted pork.
I'm going to ford the river and just hope I don't drown. Millie died.
Someone always died when you forded a river.
I don't think has anybody ever gotten all the way to Oregon with the entire family.
I don't think that it's very realistic because there was no Donner Party option. I mean, Millie died, but doesn't mean she can't sustain the rest of us.
Choose option: eat Millie, starve.
Earlier in the week, we reported that Jeff Bezos was completing his transition to Lex Luthor, and I submit this as evidence.
Oh, there's a picture.
That is Lex Luthor piloting a robot suit.
He's ready to come kill you.
But here's the thing about this.
It's $100 million to develop this.
Well,
Except it can't walk.
Yeah, the legs don't work.
You can't
Go
walk.
back to that picture.
All you need is that thing from Cyberdyne, and you're good to go.
We need a very powerful. But go back, like those things sticking up behind it there. Those are cables supporting it.
Can you get it in one of those like chairs for old people and get it to go up the stairs for you?
The Charles Xavier
yeah,
chair.
where you're like,
You're going to need telekinesis in order to operate this robot.
No, I was thinking like the chairlift that you put in when you're old.
Yeah, I don't think the standard chairlift is
going to support $100 million.
Listen, he needs to spend another $50 million to make sure he can use it in his house.
I'm just telling you, we get the Cyberdyne legs on this thing, or maybe he's gonna, maybe this is like a thing. He's gonna, get the floating thing because he doesn't want legs. He wants the floating wheelchair thing like Charles Xavier has.
I guess you could mount it to the bed of a truck or something. It is cool.
Some truck nuts in there.
The arms and the fingers and everything work, and that's pretty cool, but it definitely doesn't have any real-world applications.
Yet. They want to have real-world applications for it, but it doesn't yet. This is like Diva's Mecca.
Now, the real-world application is bringing jobs to America. Because we need jobs. And this is Jeff Bezos bringing jobs to America. This is not even his, though.
But it's a Korean company.
If it were...
Bringing jobs to Korea.
An earth-moving piece of equipment with one barrel of oil does the work of like 500 men. So if that thing really did work, how many jobs do you think that would destroy? How much heavy construction can you do with that guy?
Or even just like stock and shells or something, like water stock. I just put a whole pallet of this.
Never mind that you're stepping on people. What? Imagine the Amazon store where, it's like there's no employees, but there is that robot going around.
Oh my gosh, that could be Nubbin. Nubbin's one of our Twitch viewers. He's probably watching right now.
He could literally, like, it's just he's like crouched down in the warehouse, and he's just because the robot's too big to get around the shelf. It'd be like the Iron Giant inside a Walmart, just trying to not destroy everything.
Based on Nubbin's operation of the vehicles in PUBG, I don't think he belongs in the giant robot.
It seems like every week we're reporting on, Bitcoin was stolen from this or Bitcoin stolen that. We reported Woz's Bitcoin was stolen. So Thieves has stolen 600 Bitcoin. No, wait. 600
Thieves has stolen, like it's just one person.
600 powerful Bitcoin mining computers, and then you keep reading and it's like $10,000 of stuff.
And also, this was video card based Bitcoin mining, which I thought nobody did anymore. Don't these guys know you steal ASICs? You don't steal computers that are using video cards.
Well, maybe it was cryptocurrency, and the author of the article took some liberties.
Could be, yeah.
But yeah, $10,000 of, the Associated Press reports that the stolen computers are worth nearly $2 million.
Are they baking in the possible profit of the crypto that you're going to mine with it? Because I think that's how cops measure when they do a drug seizure. They're like, it's worth $10 billion. It's like, no, it's worth $10 billion if you sell it in prison. But they didn't pay that
on the
for
streets.
it. Yeah.
But yeah, the Bitcoin mining computers were... I wonder if the thieves even have any idea what it is. They're like, oh, we stole some stuff.
Yeah, they're just looking to run Minecraft on them.
I mean...
A Minecraft server.
You know what else is going to die? It's like the people that run car washes. They're going to lose their jobs because of self-driving cars. So we shouldn't do self-driving cars.
Well, but those are automated car washes. So it's automation. It's killing other robots. So it turns out
let them fight.
All those little sensors and cameras and everything on your self-driving car, way too sensitive for the jets in your automated car wash.
How do you wash those cars? Do you have to do it hand?
By hand, they
and
talk
just
about...
gently caress the camera?
They talk about Uber. They wash them, and then they use alcohol and microfiber to clean the sensors. So it's super labor intensive.
So how are you going to drive in the rain with a self-driving car?
Well, they talk about that, like not just rain, but when they put down salt.
Ice, yeah.
Salt is real bad for that kind of thing. So maybe this is what they're talking about when they say that robots are going to create jobs. So you're not going to be a trucker anymore. You're going to be the guy that cleans the self-driving truck's sensors.
It's more of a specialist job.
That's your new job.
You got to have training. You got to have 3 years. You're going to need a PhD at the rate we're going in order to do that. I mean, let's be clear.
5 years experience.
5 years experience. They were just invented last year. Don't care. 5 years experience.
But you can't get any experience without getting a job.
Don't care.
There's some viewers may not realize, but we at Level 1 have had a long-running directive internally, and that is we will always include any story that has hack the planet in it, no matter how ridiculous. Scientists say that space aliens could hack our planet. This comes to us from NBC News, so at least it's a mainstream source. Thanks, NBC.
Well, I think being a mainstream source is why it is absolutely the stupidest thing you've ever heard of.
It's like, A, there's extraterrestrials. B, they're smart enough to be able to do this.
Yeah. Well,
C, they have the interest in doing it.
All of those things I could believe.
But it's totally going to happen.
I could believe all those things, but why would... So one...
Careful, Icarus.
one possible avenue that they point out is that this might be like a sort of a ransomware type of thing where they message us that if we don't do what they want, they'll explode the sun.
Who writes these articles? Scroll back up and look at the author.
Let's go back to your list.
It's like threatening the Neanderthals with what? Taking their cell phone privileges away?
Exploding the sun would have also been bad for the...
So let's assume they're smart.
Okay. They're smart. They're malicious. They have the ability to explode the sun. Do they...
NBC, WTF.
Scroll up. I want to see who wrote this. Scroll up. Is there a person? Click on it.
Shostak.
Click on that guy's name.
He's not even good enough to have a hyperlink.
Oh.
They also talk about
I'm going to Google him later.
SETI, and of course SETI, it listens, but it's not like it's connected to the nuclear launch codes or anything. So this is a weird piece of journalism.
They don't even have to blow up the sun. They could literally just trigger a solar flare of approximately the same size as one that the Earth experienced in the late 1800s. Telegraphs had just been installed. That was a new invention. And they unhooked all of the power from the telegraph system, and there was so much electromagnetic radiation from the solar flare that the telegraphs were sparking at either end. If that happened today, all of the satellites on that side of planet Earth would be fried. They would be done. Most of the terrestrial computers would be fried, and our power grid would be offline.
But it's still such a ridiculous argument. If you have the ability, something as big as the sun, if you can manipulate that in the smallest way, you have the energy to destroy the Earth and other means. And it's like, what are you holding us ransom for? What do you want? What if you have that level of energy? What can we give you? It's like, listen, I want 5,000 barrels of oil, or I'll destroy the sun.
What if they really like kale?
Szechuan sauce.
That's my character arc, Morty.
Anyway, children struggle to hold pencils due to too much technology, doctors say. Apparently, we're forgetting how to use pencils.
I don't know about where they did this study, but that's not true.
This is a couple of doctors that are talking about it. But it's not that we're forgetting how to use pencils. It's that our children are too weak from only holding tablets their entire lives and not playing with blocks and other toys.
That is not true.
Their poor, underdeveloped fingers just can't grasp those pencils.
I feel like those are doctors who are never around children. Like, we color every week at the children's church. Like, every week. They all know how to use pencils. 2- and 3-year-olds.
Well, this is perhaps not the best example for technologically advanced locations.
That's
true.
Good point.
What are perhaps the chat or the commenters can tell us what's going on in like downtown New York or San Francisco or Los Angeles or Seattle?
They bring up that the tablet is such a good babysitter that basically parents are just shoving it in their kids' face, and so they're quiet. They don't bother them. They're sucked into the world of that tablet, and that becomes such an easy crutch that they're never getting access to any other kind of stimulus.
Could they do the ones, like some tablets have like the little stylus? Would that be a way to supplement that if that's what they're concerned about? Or
Steve Jobs has outlawed those.
I mean, I guess you worry. At what age do you give a child that and count on them not trying to eat it?
Well, I don't know.
Is that before or after GTA 5?
That's before. Letting a kid use a stylus and or playing GTA 5, I think I'm going to let the kid do the stylus.
See, what you do is you introduce them to GTA 5 first, and then they get the strength in their hands by stabbing the other children with the pencil. And it really builds up the.
I didn't get any money for stabbing this kid. What the heck?
So it's GTA 5. No, wait. Yeah, GTA 5 stylus, then John Wick 2, or GTA 5 John Wick 2 stylus. Or maybe John Wick 2 GTA 5 stylus.
That's up to the individual parent. We can't really tell them how to live their lives.
But I'd say 7 for John Wick 2, I haven't seen that.
Because he killed some guys with some pencils.
At 5, you do John Wick 1.
Although I think they did it first in the Jason Bourne movies, because I'm pretty sure like the first or second Jason Bourne movie.
Well, there was
the Joker does
the
it
Joker
in Batman.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of pencil killings in Hollywood. It's a popular meme.
We should ban pencils.
It's like, oh my gosh, they killed somebody with a pencil.
We should sue pencil manufacturers.
Good ideas.
Shut them down. They need safeties. There needs to be warnings. I need a biometric lock.
What's the safety? Is it like a toothbrush cover on it? Like
no sharp instruments. Well, I think the cherry on the turd sandwich of technology news gone wrong this week has got to be this story. This is just these guys are not.
What is this photo?
These guys are not. This is an official press photo. This is an official This is not even photoshopped. I wish this were photoshopped.
Switch over to it. What did they tell that model? Like what the photographer gave her?
Look wacky, but also a little bit sexy.
And why is she nude?
She's wearing a tube top.
Well, no, I mean, I think that there's definitely implied nudity
that
here.
She's supposed to be nude, yeah.
Yeah. So,
because if you're taking Snapchat,
I mean, isn't that the whole point of Snapchat, or at least with
do they allow nudes?
Yeah.
Well, because the whole point was that it would
transient.
be deleted, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not really deleted, and it's also the whole China thing and encryption and whatever.
I remind my younger cousins that all the time. Like, it's not really deleted.
So, but the story that we've gotten off track here is that Snapchat is doing Spectacles 2.0. Yeah, they even though it was a $40 million loss.
Yeah.
Which warms the cockles of my heart on the first version. Second version, yeah, they're going ahead with that. That's really all the details that we have.
Well, this is, of course, in the wake of a UI redesign that everybody hates. I hate it, and I've never used Snapchat.
I've never used Snapchat. I can't tell because I haven't used it. I would be interested to know but I don't have enough data to know as a UI designer. But like, how much of it is people just mad because it's changed, and how much of it is people actually having
People
genuine
mad from
complaints?
change.
I don't have any reference of people who just arbitrarily lose their mind over small changes in the format of a thing.
Especially small changes that result in massive monetary uplift.
Versus a $40 million loss.
But you know what? This
Hopefully more viewers.
They're bringing them out.
This picture, I see something in this picture, and I'm going to show you, and I hope that you can't unsee it. Because that's what I see. Like the eyes and the pupils.
Is the Me Gusta face?
Yeah, literally.
I don't
see that.
No one else sees that.
They
I can't
like
unsee
glasses.
that. I don't know. Maybe it's just brain damage.
Oh,
I'll
it
tell
was like,
you-
I have to do this. They have to know. And I'm like, I don't see it.
I'll tell you what's wrong here. This girl, though, if she were to fall or, if like she were in a car or something, she's really at risk of biting her tongue off. That's not a safe way to live your life.
Is she taking, like, what is she taking a picture? Is she taking a picture of the photographer?
I think what's happened here is she's just finished a large steak, and there's a piece, right back there. in
Oh,
one of
yeah.
her
Like a
molars.
piece in your...
She's going hard at it, and I just got a candid shot.
A delicious caramelized onion wedged between her teeth, which is part of the glaze
Steak sounds
on
good.
said steak.
It's getting close to dinner time here.
It is getting close to dinner time.
It took a record amount. I hope that you are all happy because it has taken all day to film the news. We used to knock this out in like
An hour.
an hour 15, and we were good to go. Not today.
Yeah, well, the
Well,
experiment
we're still learning.
the experiment this week is the longer time going to affect the engagement versus number of days a week. We're actually doing several experiments in parallel, but I'll share that.
Which is not
one
really
with you.
how you do science.
Yeah.
Most of them have nothing to do with YouTube. Mostly it's just us experimenting on animals, but this as well.
Well, we'll see you next week, everybody.
Wait, we got to do an official end.
Oh, yeah.
This is officially, once again, make a note, officially the end. This is the end of the week. This is it. 4 last week, only 3 this week. So this was AI, crypto, and nonsense.
And gaming.
And
And gaming, yeah.
It won't always break down that way, but we are looking for names for each of our 3
Segments. Yeah.
segments. Yeah.
Well, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Or who knows?
Depending on how many topics we can come
We
up
still-
with that
we
have
gotta-
enough stories.
Yeah, we got to bring in the data. We got to analyze it.
2 to 3
Make an
Linux,
intern analyze.
or 2 to 3 videos a week. Hopefully, a Linux video every now and then. We just did 2 videos on the Linux channel. One a live stream with Gardner, the Linux gamer. We also built a Caden Live system to do some Caden Live experiments. So we are cranking out the content. Could be some interesting hardware coming up too, with the hardware launches and stuff coming up. So
We also, of course, again, not really our plan, but we got a huge influx in Patreon. So there will be a bonus Patreon podcast for all patrons,
'Cause
which
it's a record-breaking month.
we're going to have to do very soon.
thank you you all.
Stay tuned for that. And in case you're on the fence and you're like, I don't know, maybe should I make a comment? Should I tell them I love the new format or I hate it? Go ahead. You've got permission.
We'll read it. we are reading. We're not sure. We're not 100% set on this format yet. So
Comment, update, let us know. Comment on the forums. Comment everywhere. Just engagement.
Just spray paint, on government buildings.
I hate the new level 1 text format on your courthouse.
Woo! All right. See you next week, everybody.
See ya.